Hi guys, it's Michelle, Deception Bytes, and it is September 6th, and it's 8:45 p.m. Eastern Time. Hope everyone's doing well and that you've all had a good day. I know you're all in different time zones and all different places in the world, which I think is very, very interesting, that this is a worldwide phenomenon and that people in other countries are interested in what happens to and in America. I think that that is wonderful. Of course, they say that if America sneezes, the rest of the world catches a cold. So, not sure how true that is anymore, but I think that there's still a lot of truth to that. Anyway, let's get started here. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be going over the couple posts that I missed from the 4th, and then I'm going to start in on the 5th, and we're going to finish that this evening. There are quite a few posts from today from Q, so I will do my level best to catch up and to get to those posts, but I can't make any promises. But I will do my best, and Lord willing and the creek don't rise, I'll get to it this evening. So let's pick up from where we left off. But before we get to that, I want to bring your attention to something, because someone on my last video put this in the comments, and it brought it to my attention, and I was so thankful that they did, because it is huge. Now, I want you to listen to this. You may have already heard this because it's kind of out there today, but it's big, and so if you haven't heard it, you really need to. Okay, now I've got to find it. Oh, let me see here. Instead of going here, let me go here. All right, now this is John Kasich, and let's hear what he has to say. This is just a tiny little clip out of an interview with CNN. Let's see what he has to say.
It's like 24 hours since John McCain was put to death. It's like 24 hours since John McCain was put to death. It's like 24 hours since John McCain was put to death.
Did you hear what I heard? Because it really sounded like, to me, like he said, it's been like 24 hours since John McCain was put to death. Now, that happens to be what I believe, and I thought that all along. I thought either he commits suicide or he was assisted, shall we say. Because, remember, Cindy McCain said that he was in charge of his own, basically, I can't remember how she worded it, but it was like that he was in control of his own destiny right up till the end or whatever. And Q came back and said, basically, no, he wasn't. So that right there told me that it wasn't suicide, and I knew that it was not a natural death. That was evident to me, because first of all, you don't, stop treatment one day and then the next day die, because it's not like he was on life support. Now, my brother, when he died, he was on life support. They had the hospital, because it's socialized medicine here, decided, and we had no say over it, to shut off his life support, and of course he died. Now, it wasn't a situation like that, and that's why I tell you that. It wasn't a situation like that where, okay, yeah, if he was on life support, I could see that. I could see them shutting it off and him just saying, look, I don't want any heroic measures to save my life at this point. I've got cancer. I'm going to die. I don't want to suffer anymore. Let's just shut off the machines and let nature take its course. I knew that it was not a situation like that. And so, and plus we have the boot that kept changing feet and all that. So I knew that he was, I knew that there was something there. And it seemed to me that when Q said that he didn't die on his own terms, that he was assisted. And I think that he had a death sentence. I don't know how that was done legally. I don't know. I just know that it was. I know in my gut that it was, because now we've got someone else here, and normally he would have said it's been 24 hours since John McCain died. But he didn't. He said John McCain was put to death. So it's interesting. Now, the other option could be that he had an assisted suicide. But I don't know. I don't know. I just don't believe that either. And I'll tell you something else. At that funeral, I have never seen. It was a very, very bizarre funeral, and you've got to admit that it was, because first of all, you watch the deep state actors, Michael and Barack Obama, and you've got the Bushes and people, and they're passing things. It's evident that they're passing things, that they're passing a disc, like a little flash drive to one another. It's evident. And they just look so cozy and loving towards one another. But everybody that gets up to speak sounds angry. You've got McCain's daughter sounded very angry. That was why at the funeral are they bashing Trump? I don't understand. Trump didn't kill him. Or did he? I don't know. But it just seems a little odd. I mean, if he died of cancer, how is that Trump's fault? And then you've got the people that are bashing Trump because, well, he wasn't at the funeral, but John McCain had a special request that he not attend. And President Trump honored that. Now, if he had shown up at the funeral, they'd be all yapping about that. Oh, how disrespectful he is. You can't win if you're Trump. And so, but everyone looked so angry. And if someone died of natural causes, yes, you're devastated, but you're not that angry. So there was a lot to me that did not make sense in that funeral, and the fact that it was way, way over the top in praising him. So anyway, I wanted to show you that because it's important, and we're going to move on now. So now we've got a little bit of a humor break. Q gives us a little bit of a humor break here on the 4th, and let's go out to what this is. All right, now, I wish I could make this bigger for you. And my computer has been acting absolutely crazily slow. All right, now, this is a, hang on, let me.
And have Tommy run the first play of the game. And he got the handoff. He's about as big of a traffic fan as they come, so in partnership with the Grant-A-Wish Foundation.
Hang on here. I'm going to see if I can make this bigger for you, because what's the sense? I mean, I can hardly see it, so I know you can't. Well, that didn't do much, did it? Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay, now, it's still kind of small, but this is Hillary Clinton. There's Barack Obama. It's so small. There's Podesta. John Podesta. There's Weiner. There's Maxine Waters, George Soros, George Bush, or it could be Jeb. I'm not sure. Anyway, watch this because they've put their faces on these football players, and it's just kind of cute.
Both teams have agreed to come together and have Tommy run the first play of the game. And he got the handoff, and there he goes.
There's Hillary.
Made a little cutback move, and it looks like he's going to go all the way. Look at him go. Wow. This is really one of those heartwarming moments in sports where you just, oh!
And there's Trump.
Oh, my God. That is not good.
So it's funny to me that Q pointed this out because it's funny. Anyway, now let me see here. Let me go back. And it says, comments, football rating is going up. Almost. Q says almost. Q. So it's just kind of a little bit of a humor break there. I thought it was cute. And let's go on. Now, then Q posts this along the same lines. This Anon says 17-yard line, because it appears as if Hillary was tackled by Trump at the 17-yard line. And Q responds and says, "What are the odds of that? They never thought she would lose." Q. And now we're coming up to here. And this is the first one from September 5th. So let's get into this. This is small, so I've made it a little bit bigger here without making it blurry. Okay, department then headed by something about among the agencies that eventually signed on with the State Department, then headed by Mr. Clinton's wife, Hillary Rodham Clinton, as the Russians gradually assumed control of uranium-1 in 3 separate transactions from 2009 to 2013. Canadian records show a flow of cash made its way to the Clinton Foundation. Wow, what a surprise there. Uranium-1's chairman used his family foundation to make 4 donations totaling $2,032.35 million. Those contributions were not publicly disclosed by the Clintons, despite an agreement Mrs. Clinton had struck with the Obama White House to publicly identify all donors. Other people with ties to the company made donations as well. And shortly after the Russians announced their intention to acquire a major stake in Uranium-1, Mr. Clinton received $500,000 for a Moscow speech from a Russian investment bank with links to the Kremlin. Well, isn't that special? And of course, that is from this, I do believe, which we're not going to read in its entirety, but that is where it's from, and able to be obtained through, of course, the Freedom of Information Act. And then let's go back here, and it says letter from Committee on Financial Services, and then Maxine Waters, California, ranking member. So let's see about this. And we know how on the up and up Maxine Waters is. Yeah. Okay, so 115th Congress. Here's Maxine Water. These are the committee members. Maxine Water. Let's see if we recognize anybody else. Nobody that, jumps out and slaps me, but and they shouldn't jump out and slap me because that would be assault. Anyway, I think, Q is wanting to point out to us that our good friend Maxine Waters is on this committee. Our committee is fighting for economic opportunity so hardworking taxpayers can achieve financial freedom. Excuse me. 1 second. Sorry, I hope you didn't hear me chug there. All right, let's go back. How do you obstruct oversight? Well, you obstruct oversight by placing someone in that oversight that is dirty, right? I mean, if I was doing something wrong and I had an oversight committee over me, I would want one of my dirty friends. That doesn't sound good, does it? Dirty friends. I'd want somebody that was as crooked as I was in the oversight committee to kind of give me inside information and maybe pull some strings. I don't know. How do you obtain inside knowledge to closed door financial investigations? Well, the same way, by having somebody on the inside. Well, you know, Maxine Waters isn't going to keep her mouth shut. That mouth is always going, in page 45, in page 45. I'm sorry, but I hear that in my sleep sometimes, that voice. Nails on a chalkboard. Anyway, Maxine Waters, California, ranking member. Those who are the loudest have the most to fear. Well, she's definitely the loudest. She is definitely the loudest. Now, I don't know if she's the stupidest, but she's most certainly the loudest. The most stupid. Although she ranks up there. She really does. Okay, now let's look at this. And I don't generally go around calling people stupid because we all have different gifts and abilities and whatever, but this woman started out all right. She really did. She started out okay. What happened to her? I don't know. That is a stupid
decision. Well, since we live in a world,
excuse
me, where pro wrestling references are now the very same thing as violent threats, one wonders what to make of remarks that California Congresswoman and progressive hero Maxine Waters recently made about HUD Secretary Ben Carson. During a speech on Saturday in New Orleans, Waters said that when Carson appears before her congressional committee, quote, I'm going to take his ass apart, Quote, Carson knows nothing about the mission of HUD, Waters continued. He doesn't care about people in public housing. He believes that if you are poor, it is your fault. And he doesn't know the difference between an immigrant and a slave, whatever that means. Now, we've mocked Maxine Waters before in this show, but we should take her seriously on this subject. Congresswoman Waters is a confirmed expert on the question of housing, especially her own housing. Consider where she lives. In a 6,000 square foot, $4.3 million mansion in one of the wealthiest neighborhoods in Los Angeles. Now, how'd she afford a place like that after having spent the last 40 years working in government? We'd hate to speculate. How does she keep getting reelected despite not living in her own congressional district? No clue there either. The district Waters actually represents in Congress has the second highest percentage of African American residents in the state of California. Now, the neighborhood where Waters actually lives is just 6% black, or as she might put it herself, if she didn't live there, it's segregated, like 1950s level segregated. And as we mentioned, it's really, really rich. So how did Maxine Waters pull off a housing coup like that? Who knows, but it almost qualifies her to be HUD secretary herself.
Oh, love it. All right, let's go back here. Yeah, good old Maxine Waters. Those who are the loudest have the most to fear. Money talks. Q. So, yeah. And what I was saying about, calling Maxine, stupid, I say that I don't know what her IQ is. I don't care. But she started off okay. If you actually research her, she started off okay. She made the decision to become corrupt. And that was a stupid decision. A very, very stupid decision. So there's where I am with that. I mean, she could have been a real force for good. She really could. But instead, she chose to enrich herself. All right. Now, here Q is referring to a post, an earlier post from September 4th, which is actually this post that he's referring to, is from the last video. And he's referring to this, and then he adds to it. He says, example 2, being afraid, because these were all the Twitters we went through, and, it was evident that, Hillary's afraid because it was just Twitter after Twitter after Twitter after Twitter, or tweet after tweet after tweet. The same thing about Kavanaugh and just blah, blah, blah. Well, she's at it again. Example 2, being afraid. Here's the first one. Instead of us going out to each of these, I've just gone out and clipped them for us to save time. If Brett Kavanaugh becomes a Supreme Court justice, will he help gut or overturn Roe versus Wade, which legalizes abortion in America? Yes, of course he will. Fear porn. A few weeks before Kavanaugh's name appeared on President Trump's short list for a new justice, Kavanaugh praised the dissent in the Roe versus Wade case and called former Supreme Court Chief Justice William Rehnquist his hero, noting that he clearly wanted to overrule Roe. As a federal judge, Kavanaugh tried to prevent a young undocumented woman in government custody from exercising her right to an abortion. Great. Good. I'm glad. You know why? Because why should American taxpayers pay for, now, Hillary, undocumented, why don't you just say what it is? She was illegal. She was an illegal alien. She came into this country illegally, and she wanted the American taxpayers to pay for her abortion. Now, I say send her back home and let her country pay for her abortion. Why should we pay, the taxpayer pay for her to have an abortion when she's not even here legally? These rights should be reserved for Americans. Now, I am against abortion. I'm just going to tell you right here now that I am. I'm a Christian, so I believe in the right to life for everyone. So that's where I stand, but it doesn't matter here or there where I stand, because, this isn't about where I stand. It's about, interpreting what Q is saying here. And, here Hillary is against this judge for essentially following the rule of law, which I guess is a bad thing to the Democrats. Kavanaugh ruled to let CEOs decide to deny their employees insurance coverage for no-pay birth control. So, and it goes on and on and on. And she is aiming this mainly at women, and it's fear porn is what it is. This is going to happen. Anti-abortion groups have endorsed Kavanaugh, considering him a reliable vote to overturn Roe. His confirmation would be a victory for activists who want to end a woman's right to make her own health decisions. Oh, is that what killing a baby is? A health decision? And Hillary, what about all the people that you killed? They're no longer able to make their own health decisions, are they? Because you made their health decisions for them, right? By terminating their lives. It's okay when you do it, though, isn't it? Yeah. It's remarkable that we have to keep repeating this even in 2018. Women's rights are human rights, and human rights are women's rights. Okay, well, Hillary, you know when we'll start listening to you? When you shut down all the human trafficking that you're doing through your Clinton Foundation ships. Yeah. Remember all those kids in Haiti? How do you feel about their human rights? Yeah, right. One of the most fundamental human rights is the right to make the most personal decisions about one's own body. To deny women that is to rob them of the ability to decide their own futures. Like you denied Seth Rich the ability to decide his own future and to make, his fundamental human right about his own body as to whether to live or die. He didn't have a choice, did he? No, he wasn't given a choice. What about Vince Foster? Yeah. If you agree, please pick up the phone right now and call your senators. Ask them to stop Kavanaugh at 202-224-3121. Well, Hillary, could you please give us the phone number to stop you? I thought actually that you would have gotten the idea how America feels about you based on how America voted in the last election, right? I mean, if that was me, I'd take the hint. Like if I lost a rigged election, you lost a rigged election. Think about that. How hard is that to do? That takes talent. You lost a rigged election. So I think the American people have already told you how they feel about you. But just in case you haven't got the message, do you have a phone number there that we could call and, to stop you? Anyway, it's just asking. Just asking. And Q says, witch hunt. Q, of course it's a witch hunt. It's always been a witch hunt. It's either a witch hunt against Trump or it's a witch hunt against anybody that he approves of, including all the deplorables, so-called deplorables. It's a witch hunt against us too because of all the censorship and everything. It's unbelievable. And you know something, honestly, if someone had told me 20 years ago that we would have been here at this moment in time with this kind of censorship, I mean, what are they going to do next? Burn books? I don't know. It's unbelievable. It really, really is. Now, let's go up to the next one. Okay. All right. So here, Q makes reference to this post by an anon who has this picture of, I don't know, I think it's just a picture of anyone. I don't know. Wait, what? You're telling me Q just posted again? But Micro told me he was ending the LARP. I feel so used. So ass effed. Wipes tears. Now, Q acknowledges this. And before I go on, let me just tell you simply what is happening. If you don't know, there are people that have, and it's coming from the Alex Jones type supporters and so forth that are saying that, and I think Jack Prosobic, if that's how you pronounce his name, was one that was saying that they were the original Q and that, the gig is up, it was all a LARP, but it's over now. And so this person, now anybody that really follows Q is not going to fall for that. If you're really following Q and have been from the beginning, you know that there's too many proofs. But there are people that have fallen for it again, and it has, knocked a few supporters out of the race, because they're thinking, oh, okay, well, all right, Q must just be a LARP then. And so that's what Q is addressing here, and that's what this anon is addressing sort of sarcastically. But Q just posted again. But Micro told me he was ending the LARP, and Micro is one of, I don't know exactly who Micro is, but I've seen reference to that name before, and I know that he was one of the people that was saying that Q was a LARP and that it was actually Jack Prosobic. At least that's my understanding. If my understanding is skewed, please let me know. All right. Now, down below, Q obviously acknowledges this and then says, ask yourself a simple, logical question. Why are the majority of Q attacks by pro Make America Great Again supporters coming from Alex Jones, Mossad-backed, and or Alex Jones known associates? Why are we a threat to them? Why not simply publish an original picture plus or minus 1, 2, 3 seconds to establish credibility? Why was this done in the past? We knew this type of attack was coming. Predictable. Fake news. Attacks will only intensify. Q. And when he's talking about the picture, remember he took a series of pictures aboard the Air Force One, and he posted the original picture, and then he posts later a succession from the same, unless you actually took the picture. You're not going to have picture 1, picture 2, picture 3, picture 4 in the series, right? If you just went out to the internet and grabbed it somewhere and stole it from something, ripped it off, you're not going to be able to produce the whole series that was taken. But Q has done that, proving that Q was the one that took the picture. So if Q is aboard Air Force One, then what does that say about who Q is? Not just anybody gets to ride Air Force One, right? Or it could be that it was Trump that took those pictures and passed it on to Q. We don't know. Or somebody on Air Force One. But Q is definitely not a LARP. It is someone within the administration. So there you go. And Q has told us that attacks would intensify, and also told us that what do they do when they're backed into a corner? This is the type of crap that they do. It is. So they're doing what they do. They're doing what they do best, and they're out there. And if you're on Reddit and you're, pro-Trump, they're out there with their little bots that go and they downvote everything that you say. And I mean, there are so many tricks that are going on right now. And hopefully, if you're out there, you're seeing them. All right, let's go up to the next one. And Q is giving us the example that he posted, and this was from May 22nd, Air Force One. And Air Force One 5A3, and this one was Air Force One 5A2. And yeah. So how did he get these two pictures in a series, and then Q is responding to this. Like, first of all, Q posted his, is referring to his post from May 22nd, okay? Then Q, down here, referring to that from May 22nd, says, why not post an original picture plus or minus 1, 2, 3 seconds to establish credibility? Example 1. Air Force One _ 5A _ 2 posted 11:09:17. Air Force One _ 5A _ 3 posted 5:22:18. 2-second stream. Prepared, predictable. This is not a game. These people are stupid. Q. And I think, too, what happens is that the deep state actors and those that are being paid to troll, because there are a lot of agents that are paid to troll, they are fully aware of the fact that not everybody that's following Q right now has always followed Q. Q showed up around October of last year. And so, and we're coming up on the anniversary, actually, not that far from now. But he showed up, and it took a while for people to get on board. In fact, I wasn't, I was probably, 3 weeks or so. It was probably 3 weeks or so before I started getting into Q, and then I went back and went through all the posts. But there are a lot of people that have just joined recently because it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So there's more and more people joining, and they join, say they joined a couple months ago. Well, they're not privy to everything that went before. So it's easier to knock them out of the game. See what I'm saying? Because they're not privy to everything. And most people are working. They have lives, they have jobs, whether they work at home, whether they, no matter what they do. And even if they're retired, they're busy. People have busy lives these days. And so not a lot of people have time to go back a year and go through a year's worth of posts. There's a lot. So these type of people are knocked out of the game very easily, and the trolls know that, and that's why they do this sort of thing, because it does knock the newbies out fairly easily, and they go, oh, it's just a bunch of nonsense, because they just don't have the history. So anyway, that's exactly what's happening. Now let's go on to this post and take a look at this link that Q is wanting us to see. And it says Jerome Corsi, conspiracy theorist, is subpoenaed in Mueller investigation. Jerome Corsi, a conspiracy theorist and political commentator with connections to the former Trump advisor Roger J. Stone Jr., has been subpoenaed to testify on Friday before the grand jury in the special counsel investigation into Russia's election interference and whether Trump associates conspired with the effort, his lawyer said on Wednesday. The lawyer, David Gray, said that he anticipates that investigators for the special counsel Robert S. Mueller III plan to ask Mr. Corsi about his discussions with Mr. Stone, who appeared to publicly predict in 2016 that WikiLeaks planned to publish material damaging to Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. He fully intends to comply with the subpoena, Mr. Gray said, adding that the subpoena was not specific about the topic, but that he and his client anticipated it has to do with his communications with Roger Stone. Mr. Mueller's team appears to be zeroing in on Mr. Stone as a possible nexus between the Trump campaign and WikiLeaks, which was used by Russian intelligence officers to spread information stolen from Democrats, according to an indictment by Mr. Mueller's team. Right. Another former associate of Mr. Stone, the New York political gadfly Randy Credico, is also expected to testify before the grand jury on Friday. Mr. Stone has maintained that he had no contact with Julian Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks, and that he learned what WikiLeaks was doing through public sources and from Mr. Credico, who had a friend in common with Mr. Assange. Mr. Corsi, who has worked with the conspiracy theorist Alex Jones on his InfoWar operation, has dealt with Mr. Stone on and off for years. Mr. Corsi was also one of the people whom President Trump, before he was a candidate, contacted for information about former President Barack Obama's birth certificate in pressing the false claim that Mr. Obama was not born in the United States. Mr. Corsi's name came up when federal agents stopped and detained a professor and author, Ted Malloch, at a Boston airport last March. Mr. Malloch told NBC at the time that, among other questions, federal investigators asked him about Mr. Stone, whom he had met a handful of times, about WikiLeaks, and about Mr. Corsi, who had helped edit one of his books. In testimony before the House Intelligence Committee last year, Mr. Stone, who had predicted in a 2016 tweet that Mrs. Clinton's campaign chairman, John Podesta, would face his time in the barrel, said he based his tweet off research given to him by Mr. Corsi, whom he identified as an investigative journalist. He said that Mr. Corsi's research was drawn from public information related to Mr. Podesta's brother, the lobbyist Tony Podesta. John Podesta's private email account was hacked in 2016, and some of the content was posted by WikiLeaks in October 2016, just as Mr. Trump was facing questions about the Access Hollywood tape on which he was recorded in 2005, boasting about grabbing women by their genitals. And then this says, correction, September 5th, 2018. An earlier version of this article misstated Jerome Corsi's relationship with InfoWars. Mr. Corsi has previously worked with InfoWars, but no longer does. So, there you go. Now, Mr. Corsi, of course, was one of the people that Q called out as a patriot, P-A-Y, a patriot, and was sowing discord in the camp. So that's interesting. Now let's go on to the next one. And here is Politico. Trump allies push him to declassify more Russia probe documents. President Donald Trump's top congressional allies are calling on him to release reams of classified documents connected to the FBI's Russia probe. Republican Representatives Mark Meadows, Jim Jordan, Mark Gaetz, and Lee Zeldin are asking Trump to declassify additional portions of the application the FBI submitted to surveil former Trump campaign aide Carter Page in late 2016. A heavily redacted version was released last month. They also want the president to declassify and release all of the official notes filed by top Justice Department official Bruce Orr, whose relationship with former British spy, Christopher Steele has become a focus of Republican inquiries about anti-Trump bias among top law enforcement and intelligence officials. They also intend to seek the declassification of other relevant documents, according to a notice issued by Zeldin's office. In the latest attempt by Trump allies on Capitol Hill to accuse the senior rank of It's the latest attempt by Trump allies on Capitol Hill to accuse the senior ranks of the Justice Department and FBI of systematic bias. Bureau defenders and Democrats say the effort is really about protecting Trump from the ongoing investigation by special counsel Robert Mueller, which has edged deep inside Trump's inner circle. So this is basically, and I'm not going to read it all, that they're pushing, the Republicans certainly are pushing to get that FISA redacted and also other documents released that have to do with Bruce Orr. They want the president to declassify and release all of the official notes filed by top justice official Bruce Orr. So that's why I'm thinking that when that post that Q said declass, that's what I'm thinking is the FISA document and possibly these notes by Bruce Orr, or concerning Bruce Orr. So I guess we'll have to see. Now, let's go back here. And this says, do you believe in coincidences? Q. Actually, no. And this is more of the same because Q here refers to his own tweet that we just looked at. And he gives us another link and he says, again, do you believe in coincidences? Now, this is Sarah Carter. Who so far has proven to be very trustworthy. President Trump may declassify the 20 FISA docs Congress wants. Well. Trump has come under pressure by DOJ officials who do not want him to declassify the documents. Well, no doubt. President Trump is expected to declassify the redacted 20 pages of documents from the controversial Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA warrant, that have still not been made public, which allowed the FBI to spy on short-term campaign volunteer Carter Page. Numerous sources told Carter.com. This comes nearly a year after stonewalling by the Department of Justice at the demand of lawmakers who claim that the 20 redacted pages will reveal explosive information about the FBI's handling of the Trump-Russia investigation, according to sources. Now, I'm not going to go and read the rest of this because that is the part that is the most important, that, he may declassify. Well, I think that he will declassify. I think that it's pretty much a done deal. I think that is what Q is hinting at, and I think we can probably take that to the bank. I wish I could take it to the bank, to tell you the truth, but my cats are eating me out of house and home. All right, now let's go back. Okay, now, all right, this is, this might not be what I'm thinking it is. Okay, hang on. I'm getting ahead of myself or behind myself. I don't know. Yeah, right. Okay. This has been removed. So, and I thought that that was the case. I thought this one was the case now. And it says, interesting line of questions, normal, military law versus criminal law, think executive order, think Hillary Rodham Clinton, panic, do you believe in coincidences? You have more than you know. Q. Now I think I did actually end up finding, and they did remove it, but I think I found it again. Now this is from The Great Awakening, and I just clipped this out and put this in here. It says YouTube has removed all of Trump TV networks of videos. Could the link to the Lindsey Graham questioning Q posted yesterday, 2093, which is the one we're looking at, have anything to do with that? When they start to panic, you know you are over the target. And somebody says here, and then I'm going to go to the video, something is definitely up. Q site's going down, deleted videos. I've seen at least 3 tweets today up and disappear off my feed as I was reading them. Bots and shill squads here, Killery's tweet storm, POTUS recent tweets, and the last Q drop. All this tells me we're not only over the target, but the bomb bay doors are open. This last gasp flak fest is all they have left. Bombs away. Now let's look at this video that Q wants us to see here. The one that's been taken down, but somebody has found it. Strange questioning, if you ask me, but let's.
When the buildings fell.
So when somebody says post 9/11 that we've been at war, and it's called the war on terrorism, do you generally agree with that concept?
I do, Senator, because Congress passed the authorization for use of military force, which is still in effect, and that was passed, of course, on September 14th, 2001, 3 days later.
Let's talk about the law in war. Is there a body of law called the law of armed conflict?
There is such a body, Senator.
Is there a body of law that's called basic criminal law?
Yes, Senator.
Are there differences between those two bodies of law?
Yes, Senator.
From an American citizen's point of view, do your constitutional rights follow you? If you're in Paris, does the Fourth Amendment protect you as an American from your own government?
From your own government, yes.
Okay. So if you're in Afghanistan, do your constitutional rights protect you against your own government?
If you're an American in Afghanistan, you have constitutional rights as against the U.S. government.
Is there a long-standing...
That's long settled law.
Isn't there also a long-settled law that it goes back to the Eisentrager case? I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, Johnson versus Eisentrager.
Right. That American citizens who collaborate with the enemy have considered enemy combatants.
They can be. They can be. They're sometimes criminally prosecuted, sometimes treated in the military.
Well, let's talk about can be. I think
under Supreme Court precedent.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a Supreme Court decision that said that American citizens who collaborated with Nazi saboteurs were tried by the military. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I think a couple of them were executed.
Yeah.
So if anybody doubts, there's a long-standing history in this country that your constitutional rights follow you wherever you go, but you don't have a constitutional right to turn on your own government and collaborate with the enemy of the nation. You'll be treated differently. What's the name of the case, if you can recall, that reaffirmed the concept that you could hold one of our own as an enemy combatant if they were engaged in terrorist activities in Afghanistan? Are you familiar with that case?
Yeah, Hamdi.
Okay. So the bottom line is, I want every American citizen to know you have constitutional rights, but you do not have a constitutional right to collaborate with the enemy. There's a body of law well developed long before 9/11 that understood the difference between basic criminal law and the law of armed conflict. Do you understand those differences?
I do understand that there are different bodies of law, of course, Senator.
Interesting questioning, isn't it? considering the time that we're in, because, and let's go back up here after we've heard what Q wants us to hear. Let's reread this. Interesting line of questions. Normal. Military law versus criminal law. Think executive order. Think Hillary Rodham Clinton panic. Why is Hillary Rodham Clinton panicking? Because she's going to be tried by military law, not by criminal law. That's why. And the executive order gives, those enemy combatants, whether they be, American citizens or not, it gives America the right to that was, I think, December 21st of 2017, Trump signed the executive order that allows them to freeze their assets. And I'm not sure if it gives them the ability to take their assets or just freeze them. I don't know. Probably they're frozen until such a time as there's a judgment or a ruling against them. But that's why that executive order was signed at that time. Trump is setting all of this up, and Hillary Rodham Clinton should be panicking because she's going to be tried by military law, not criminal law. Yeah. And then Q says, do you believe in coincidences? Like, why would it's so important to be asking Kavanaugh those questions? Because he wants to make sure that he understands what he's going to be facing. It isn't like times past. I mean, they're getting ready to prosecute, have military tribunals. So I think that is why Graham was pursuing that line of questioning. I think it's quite obvious. And Q says, you have more than you know. Q. So I think I have one other thing to go over here. Nope, we've covered it. All right. Now, this is September 5th, and it was a tweet by Donald Trump, and Q gave us the link to it and just said Q plus, which means it's the team, not just one person. And the tweet was simply treason. Interesting. Was tweeted at 3:15 p.m. the 5th of September 2018. I find that very, very interesting. That's all he said. Treason? Don't know. So, this is, I believe, the last from the 5th. Let me just go up and make sure here. Yeah, then we're going to be on to the 6th. So, let's cover this, and then we will break, and I'll get this uploaded and work on the 6th for you. Because I really would like to get that uploaded tonight, the September 6th. All right, so this is the last post, and we've got the American flag. What a beautiful flag. And it says, it says patriot. 1, a person who loves, supports, and defends his or her country and its interests with devotion. 2, a person who regards himself or herself as a defender, especially of individual rights against presumed interference by the federal government. And then underneath it says traitor. 1, a person who betrays another, a cause, or any trust. 2, a person who commits treason by betraying his or her country. Q. And Q is making reference to this post, which was originally posted on February 21st, and Q is just making reference to that. And then below he says, fellow patriots, what you are about to learn should not only scare you but intensify your resolve to take back control freedom. The information that will become public will further demonstrate the criminal and corrupt, pure evil, abuse of power that the Hussein administration undertook in joint efforts with domestic and foreign dignitaries. The snowball has begun rolling. There is no stopping it now. D5. Stay the course and trust the plan. Protective measures are in place. Remain brave. We knew this day would come. United we stand, worldwide. Where we go one, we go all. We fight. Conspiracy no more. Q. Now, I can't take you out to this video. It is the one that Q has posted many times. The one that says this video will get Donald Trump elected. If you go out to YouTube and search under that, you will find it, no problem. If you haven't heard it, it is definitely worth hearing. It is a wonderful video. The problem is that there is a song in it that is used that is copyrighted. So I will get a copyright strike if I play it. So that's why I'm declining to play it. But it's easily findable for those of you interested. Now, that's it for September 5th. So we're caught up to today, and I'm going to start working on today's. I've got probably half of it done. Not sure how many posts Q has done in the meantime, but I will try my level best to get it out tonight. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate all your encouragement, your prayers, your support, your comments. They really encourage me. They keep me going. I really honestly believe I have the best listeners on YouTube, because I see some of the stuff that gets written on other channels, and it amazes me at how polite, for the most part, people are. It's very rare that I ever delete a post. And I do want to say, because there have been people upset at me thinking I have deleted their posts. There are some posts that if they have links in them, or there's something that, triggers the YouTube algorithm, it kind of goes into a slush pile. And I can go into that slush pile and release them and say, oh, this comment's okay. But there are literally thousands and thousands and thousands of comments in there. And it would take me days and days and days to get through them all. So sometimes your comments go into a slush pile. So if you comment on something and don't see it, probably that's what happened, because I don't actually delete a comment unless there's an abundance of foul language, or unless somebody's being extremely abusive towards me. Now, I don't, for the most part, if it's mild, I don't care. But if, there are some things that I delete, but very seldom do I ever delete anything. So I just want you to know that. I don't want you to think that I'm going through your tweets and deleting, I don't like this person, delete. No. Even if I don't agree with what you have to say, I still leave the comment there. So there you go. Anyway, that's it. I hope you guys have a wonderful night. It is 9:43 now p.m. Eastern time, and you guys are probably on the East Coast anyways, getting ready for bed. So I will talk to you soon. You may not see my next video until tomorrow morning, depending on what time you go to bed, but it'll be there. So thank you so much, and make sure to like and subscribe. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.